What are the best of best ofs? What are the best greatest hit compilations? We'll talk about that coming up next. The top 10 greatest hits sets on Music Meanderings. I'm Mike Lamneck. It is Music Meanderings, and won't you take the time to like the video, comment please, and also subscribe to the channel. If you would like to send a donation, you can do so through the thanks button, and all that is greatly appreciated to move the channel ahead. Today we're talking about the top 10 greatest hits collections, the best of the best ofs. Among the most listened to greatest hit compilations that I listen to anyhow, the ones I keep coming back to, it's easy to get burnt out on a best of collection, isn't it? Because they're the songs that you have already heard that have been played into the ground on radio, and you're kind of burnt out on them anyway. So this is not a list of the best-selling greatest hits albums, although all of these collections sold and are still selling really well. Sometimes fans just want the hits, don't they? The songs they're familiar with, and these compilations deliver that. They can also serve as a jumping off point into a deeper dive with the group. So in compiling this list, I thought about song selection. Does the set have all the artists' hits? How many kind of extra filler songs does it throw in, or perhaps new unreleased cuts? Song quality. Is this the artist's best work? Is it the only album you need to own by the band? And song order. How's it structured? How does it flow? Does it make you want to go deeper into the band's catalog? So we're going to start in no particular order. The best of the best ofs. Bob Marley Legend, released in 1984. The best-selling reggae album of all time. That probably does not surprise you. More than 18 million copies sold in the U.S. and more than 3 million copies in the U.K. Legend has spent a total of 904 consecutive weeks on the U.S. Billboard 200 album chart. That's the second longest run in the chart's history. Of course, you have the iconic album photo there of Bob Marley on Legend. I have the reissued vinyl edition. Is This Love? No Woman, No Cry. Could You Be Loved? Three Little Birds. That is one that you still hear a lot. One Love, People Get Ready. Of course, the hit that Eric Clapton put back on the charts, I Shot the Sheriff. Redemption song. Exodus. Jamming, one of the biggest songs on this album. Legend. And the best of Bob Marley and the Wailers makes my list of one of the best of albums. Next up, this is maybe the most comprehensive set on the list, and it belongs to Neil Young and his ambitious 1977 triple album, Decade. Now, it's also remastered and available on 2 CDs. That's the version that I own. But it contains 35 of Neil Young's songs, not all of them hits. Some album cuts goes back to 1966 through 1976. Also has 5 previously unreleased tracks on there. Includes solo hits like Heart of Gold and album cuts. Even his years with Buffalo Springfield, songs like Mr. Soul and Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, with Ohio and Long May You Run. Songs with early days of Crazy Horse, including Cowgirl on the Sand, Cinnamon Girl. Great comprehensive look at his beginnings. You really can't lose with this one. Decade, 1977, Neil Young. Next up, and you probably knew this would be on the list somewhere, Beatles and the classic Red and Blue albums. Who didn't have these growing up? I wish I still had the ones that I had when I was growing up. I had both the red and the blue. Actually, I think my brother owned those, but now I have a used copy of blue, but the red encompassed the early years, 1962 to 1966, and of course, 1966 or 1967 rather, 1970 was on the blue edition. Both albums released in 1973, the brainchild of Apple Records manager Alan Klein, shortly before he was sacked from his management job with the Beatles. The success of those two official double LP compilations inspired Capitol's repackaging of the Beach Boys' 1960s hits on my next album that I have on my list, in 1974's Endless Summer. And you can't count the number of Beach Boys compilations on all your fingers and toes. I mean, there's too many of them. But this, to me, one of the original ones, and still stands the test of time. Classic Beach Boys, Endless Summer. Released in 1974, a collection of hits from the band's 1962 through 1965 period. Compiled by Capitol Records following the success of the film American Graffiti, which kind of led to a resurgence in the Beach Boys' popularity because a couple of their songs were included in that. Unfortunately for the band, who was trying at the time to kind of distance themselves from the hot rod cruising surfing image that they had established, this kind of took them right back there, with all these songs being mainly about that. So Beach Boys 1960s hits, Endless Summer, and the song Good Vibrations, released in 1967. Of course, didn't make the cut, wasn't on the final edition, wasn't on the original album anyhow. It was included as a bonus track on the 1987 CD edition of Endless Summer. I'm Mike Lamnack. We're taking a look at some of the best ofs in my collection, the best of greatest hits. And please comment below. What do you think? What do you think the best greatest hits collections are that are available? Next up is Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Greatest hits released in 1993. Now, it's not unusual, it wasn't a new thing for bands to include an unreleased song or two on a greatest hits package. But in the case of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, one of those songs actually became a signature tune for the band, talking about Mary Jane's Last Dance. One of two tracks on their 1993 greatest hits that became one of their biggest hits, propelling the album to become their most successful, with songs like American Girl, Breakdown, Listen to Her Heart, Refugee, Here Comes My Girl, The Waiting, Don't Come Around Here No More, Won't Back Down, Free Fallin', Learning to Fly, just too many to list here. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, greatest hits, 1993. Again, in no particular order, but I've got that on my list of best of the best ofs. Next up is an album that I just spoke about in another video, and that is Creedence Clearwater Revival and Chronicle. I was talking about it in a previous video because it is still on the Billboard Top 200 album charts, even though it was released back in 1976. 13 A-sides, 7 B-sides, and unlike the previous Creedence Gold compilations, Chronicle includes all of the group's charted hits. And like I said, it's remained on the Billboard 200 chart for 12 years. Yeah. In June this year, it broke the 750-week mark. Includes 17 songs written by John Fogerty and 3 covers. Eagles, their greatest hits, 1971 through 1975. One of the best-selling albums of all time, released in 1976. 9 singles featuring 5 top 10s. Which song on this collection did not chart in the Billboard Top 40? Well, I'll answer that in a moment. It includes Take It Easy, Witchy Woman, Lion Eyes, Already Gone, Desperado, One of These Nights, Tequila Sunrise, Take It to the Limit, Peaceful Easy Feeling, and Best of My Love. As they used to say in classic rock radio, all killer, no filler. No duds, no extra cuts on this album. So which one of those songs did not actually make it into the top 40? Surprisingly, it was Tequila Sunrise. It stalled at number 64 on the charts. Well, we're looking at some of the top greatest hits collections, the best of the best ofs. And another one that I spoke of on the Billboard 200 charts video, Queen Greatest Hits, their original greatest hits, released in 1981. And my version of the album could vary from your version of the album because the track list changed from country to country, depending on which songs charted in each region. The U.S. ended up with original mono edit of Queen's first single release, Keep Yourself Alive. Also added Under Pressure, and that really pushed album sales in the U.S. It was Queen's collaboration with David Bowie, one of their biggest hits, and it wasn't available anywhere else at the time except on this album or as a single. So the single was released the same week as Queen's Greatest Hits, but it was not included on the European versions of the album. Well, next up, this is definitely one I return to a lot. Really happy to have this one in my collection. Yep, it's Sly and the Family Stone's Greatest Hits, released in 1970. 3 tracks released as singles in 1969 appear on this album for the first time. That includes Hot Fun in the Summertime, Everybody is a Star, and Thank You for Letting Me Be Myself Again. I dare you to try to spell that the way it's spelled on the album. I want to take you higher, dance to the music, stand. You can make it if you try. Just such a outstanding collection that I find myself coming back to a lot. Sly and the Family Stone Greatest Hits, 1970. And again, in no particular order, one more on my list of the top 10 greatest hits collections, the best of the best ofs, and it's got to be the Rolling Stones. Early Rolling Stones, Hot Rocks, 1964 to 1971. Obviously, they have lots of greatest hits, best of collections to choose from, but this is their best-selling release of all time, so that says a little something about it. It was their pre-1971 catalog, and their former manager, Alan Klein, stop me if you've heard that name before, had control, and the Stones had no control over this release or what songs were included on it, which is a mixture of their hit singles like Jumpin' Jack Flash, B-sides like Play With Fire, and album tracks like Under My Thumb and Give Me Shelter. So the Rolling Stones, their profiles there, epic album cover. Love that shot on the back. And of course, you've got the gatefold of Mick, and just a great album. And perhaps some of the songs, if you were not a big Stones fan, maybe you weren't real familiar with all of them, but most of them I think you're going to know here. Time Is on My Side, Heart of Stone, I Can't Get No Satisfaction, Get Off of My Cloud, Mother's Little Helper, 19th Nervous Breakdown makes me want to put it on again. Yeah, definitely one of my most played albums. Rolling Stones, Hot Rocks, 1964 through 1971. That caps off my list, but man, there are many others that I could have added to it, like Classic Yes. That is a fantastic hits collection, if you want to say hits. They're most well-known songs anyway. Eric Clapton's Timepieces, History, America's Greatest Hits. Really hard job to narrow it down to just 10. So what are your top 10 greatest hits of all time? Please comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell, won't you, so you'll be notified of more music meanderings.